Welcome to the Land Your Bets show. I'm your host, Nate Weitzer, bringing you the NFL looks, closing out week 9 here after opening on Tuesday with some initial looks we'll run through in a minute, but feel really good about where we landed here. Coming to you on Friday evening after we've got some injury news, most of it, in fact, that has really led to a lot of windfall here in what you're looking at in NFL week 9. So quickly, let's look through the initial week 9 looks. It was Bears to win, Rome Odunze receiving. Still don't know on him in terms of whether he's playing, but we've got to look in that game. Pats to win, Kyle Pitts receiving, still like that. Lions, certainly a winner at home, and Jared Goff passing. The Giants actually have a different look there, and that is down below the hook at plus 2.5. We'll get to that game in a minute. And then, of course, the game, marquee game, Chiefs. Definitely like them under a field goal here and some Josh Allen looks, but this is the marquee game in terms of betting player props, in my opinion. You start here because the defenses are just completely ravaged on both sides. Little buyback on the Giants. It got up to 3.5. It opened here, and now it's back where it opened. It's going to be Mac Jones for the Niners. That's just announced here. Don't know how much that really matters for what the Giants are doing offensively, and that's what we really want to target because that 49ers front seven might be the worst in football given their injuries. They lost 2 more defensive linemen. They lost linebacker D. Winters. Giants secondary also pretty decimated by injuries, so expect this one to get a little loose for sure. Definitely lean towards the Giants and think of them as a preferred teaser leg at plus 8.5. I don't see any way Jackson Dart gets blown out by this iteration of the 49ers, who are second straight road game and on the East Coast here. We talked about Tyrone Tracy rushing, and he's gained a little steam here now to like 52.5 rushing yards. Should be a quality receiver as well. I still like it. I don't know if I love it as much as when, it opened at 49.5 and might continue to climb because people are aware of the situation here. But yeah, he should have some nice receiving numbers, I think. He was a college receiver. Jackson Dart is going to be dropping back a lot here. Just not sure how it'll shake out with Singletary, who, by the way, is only at 3.5 receiving yards if you think he's going to get involved in any way there. But this is the play I want here in week 9. Wan'Dale Robinson. Initially thought about Darius Slayton after the positive regression we could see from last week, but the matchup is so much better for the slot man here. Number 1 in slot snaps in the NFL and design targets, as Brian Daboll has tried to get him going. And it's the best matchup you could find here. The Niners are dead last in terms of containing the slot and yards per reception and target. He gets to match up on Upton Stout, a rookie who is 109th of 113 corners per PFF. And the last 3, he's averaged 75 yards a game. 2 against Cooper DeJean, an all-pro caliber nickel, and Jalen McMillan and that Denver Broncos secondary. So if he's getting 75, he's averaging 61 on the season, and we have a prop of 50. It's just baffling, really. I mean, he had a quiet game along with Slayton last week, but Slayton now matches up with Renardo Green, who's one of the true good players left here for the 49ers, one of their original starters. He's been pretty stingy. So I'm going to look for the slot man here to get going and Jackson Dart to keep that thing moving. And on the other side, I mean, if you want to bring back, if you want in DFS, if you want to just get another prop into this game, because like I said, that Giants secondary is going to be ravaged by injuries. George Kittle, now 2 games under his belt since returning from the injury, coming off muted lines. I mean, he just ran 97% of the routes, though, against Houston's number 1 defense by EPA. The Giants rank 30th in EPA, despite all that talent up front. Mac Jones gets the ball out quick. We now know it's going to be Jones and not Purdy. And so a little bit less of uncertainty, to be honest, because I don't know how much Purdy would have rust, how much he would be looking to push the ball deep or pressing. Mac Jones, we know, is going to get the ball out on time and then let the yak monster do his thing. Giants allowed 12th most yak, but a lot more lately, and the 3rd most air yards on the season. That's regardless of position there in terms of their passing defense, which just has been absolutely awful since they lost to Debo. Then they lost Cordell Flott, and they're losing the backups to those guys. So definitely like that on both sides here. Big news here for the Bears. We just found out DeAndre Swift is ruled out, which is honestly a bummer for what I've got lined up in terms of a prop play. And if you like the Bears here under a field goal, I think you can invest in that and hope Joe Flacco doesn't play, because that's still what we don't know. He's still legit 50-50 according to the Bengals. Hendrickson, Trey is doubtful. And that's going to make this Bengals defense continue to be the worst in the league. According to EPA, and without their best player, really their only above average player, the Bears should have their way in the trenches. So I still lean towards them. I expect a very run heavy approach here, which is why I thought Swift was going to have a pretty big day, and why I thought this man was going to be undervalued as the 1-2 punch with Swift. Now he's the main guy. Roschon Johnson officially out. So we're at 70.5 yards with Monangai and probably climbing in terms of the yards. I think you probably just want to put his floor at like 60 yards and a touchdown. And I'm fine with the anytime touchdown parlay here. Usually a very risky play in terms of touchdowns. But this is a Bengals defense that is dead last against the run. And it's just, remember Jordan Mason in week 4, if I will refresh your memory, 26 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown at 7 yards per carry. What has Jordan Mason done since then? 42 yards per game, 4 starts and at 3.5 yards per carry. He's not that talented. That Vikings line has been banged up. The Bears offensive line is better, but he absolutely dominated against this Bengals team, in part because Jake Browning was the quarterback as well. So, I mean, this would be an absolute smash if you get Browning and not Flacco to say, look, Monangai is probably, then we probably project him higher to like 80 yards, multiple touchdowns, possibly at least one, and the Bears money line. So I think then you kind of correlate to just be like, the Bears are going to control this game in the trenches. They might do that anyway. I don't know if Flacco is going to be playing hurt, if he's going to go down during this game, if the Bears pass rush is going to be revamped. Their pass rush was only bad in that one game against Baltimore. But prior to that, they were just crushing people up front. 183 rushing yards per game in the 2 wins before that. Monangai did get to 80 with Swift active against the Saints. And we could see that kind of game script if it's Jake Browning, who again is one of the 3 worst quarterbacks in the league, according to any metric you want to look at. Oh boy, this is a gross one. I think you lean, it's Titans or pass. That's what I've got up here. I'm not taking the Chargers as a 10-point favorite, despite how good they looked. And with the extra bye here, week on the mini bye, Chargers are 1-4-1 against the spread this season as a favorite. And I think it's just like a situation where the NFL is going to humble you, man. If you think the Chargers are going to walk in here and just steamroll the Titans, it could be a surprise. And this is definitely like a pro better spot if I'm telling you to bet the Titans at 10. I mean, clearly they pushed it down. The pros did, because it was 10.5 for a while. Now we're under that 10, and people are buying a little bit. Could be a delayed new coach bump here. I mean, Mike McCoy is an old school guy, no nonsense. He's just was put into 2 impossible situations out the gate, right? He had to face Vrabel's wrath and the revenge of the Patriots. And could only hang in that for a little bit before Cam Ward literally handed them the ball in the end zone. But the Titans look pretty good in that spot. And then at Indy, like Indy's a machine right now. Absolutely not. They are still missing Jeffrey Simmons and 2 other starters on defense and Calvin Ridley. So again, yes, very lukewarm recommendation for the Titans. But I do think that they'll be competitive in this game, and that plays into the player prop. That plays into Tyjae Spears, I believe is how you pronounce the first name. But man, however you want to say it, I am hitting these rushing props. They're only at like 25, 26 yards, and it's not accounting for the shift in culture, the shift in personnel here, that Tony Pollard is probably number 2 on the list of skill players behind Jacoby Myers as a trade target. And he's already getting outplayed by Tyjae Spears, who outsnapped him 37-33 last week, out yardaged him 82-53. So either way, if Pollard's out there and getting his full load and they are trying to like showcase him in some way for a trade, I still think Spears is going to get his work. He might get more receiving work if the Titans do fall behind, as they are wont to do. But the Chargers allow the 8th most receptions to running backs. They also are 28th in run defense EPA. And despite the fact they look very good, again, last Thursday, the NFL will quickly turn on you in that regard. Tyjae Spears is very shifty. He's not a plotter like Jordan Mason, who could get nothing going there. Aaron Jones got a little bit going in that last matchup against the Chargers, and we've seen lots of other backs get it going. And we're only talking about 25 yards here. I mean, it is just a very, very low prop for a guy who's probably going to get the bulk of the snaps. For an old school coach, like I said, who really wants to simplify the offense for Cam Ward, get the ground game going to support his young quarterback and get those dump offs going to Tajay, who's a very, very good receiver. And so, I mean, Pollard missed practice on Wednesday. He's probably a little disgruntled. The fact he's losing his role, he's obviously going to be disgruntled because he's on a terrible team, probably the worst in the NFL. And why would he really want to go out there and get himself hurt or bust his ass, in that situation? I think it's going to be Tajay Spears' backfield. This game could get loose for sure. I mean, the total is at 50. It has not moved. The Colts are an over team. If you're betting this game, that's where I would lead you. The Steelers are a bit in timeout after the Mike Tomlin spot +3 last week. They get the +3 at home again, but I don't know if you can fade the Colts like that, man. I mean, Daniel Jones is not turning into a pumpkin. Shane Steichen has the answers. JT is the real MVP, even though he's still 15-1 because he's not a quarterback. He is the MVP of the season so far. The Colts could, I guess you could say, be 8-0 to the over. They're 5-3. They should be 6-2. You remember AD Mitchell dropping the ball in the end zone, costing them about 14 points in that game, would make them 6-2. And the other two are the Dolphins and Raiders getting 8 and 6 points respectively. And this is not a good enough defense, the Colts, to hold the Steelers offense down, which is pretty damn good. They're just a really weak pass defense. So I think there will be points going back and forth, and just throwing out a lean there. Josh Downs, another guy with a very low prop here this week. He should thrive against that Steelers overpriced defense that can't seem to stop interior guys, quick guys on the slant route. Jamar Chase just absolutely roasted them. Josh Downs, a big step down in talent, but I think that this is his matchup in terms of where to thrive. But we're going with the Aaron Rodgers angle here. Touchdowns is probably the best look, I think, even though it's juiced up, because the Colts, they force these negative game scripts. You have to come back. And the Steelers have not been able to punch it in rushing either with the Jaylen Warren, Kenny Gainwell combination. That's not super surprising. Both those guys better receiving than rushing backs, although I won't say a bad word about Jaylen Warren. That man is nice. But the Steelers, in any rate, are tied with the Chargers for the highest touchdown rate via the pass, 84% on the season. You see right there, 100% of the touchdowns have been pass at home. But I bring up the Chargers as a very relevant recent sample. They got down big against the Colts at home. What happened? Justin Herbert goes for 3 touchdowns, 365, after throwing 2 red zone interceptions, I will remind you. So he could have had several more touchdowns than that. Aaron Rodgers could have had 4 touchdowns last week, if not for a tiny tipped ball 2 away from DK Metcalf, who is absolutely the guy to partner with Rodgers here. Maybe even a stack if you want to think about it in DFS, but we're talking about props. I think DK is a really good bet to be the guy for one of these touchdowns. He has a 5-star matchup, in my opinion, against Jonathan Edwards, who's now in for Xavier Howard, who retired after he was dead last in PFF grade. Jonathan Edwards is 97th. The Colts have no good corners aside from the nickelback, Kenny Moore. And yeah, the Steelers don't really have a slot wide receiver. They have DK, who is an absolute monster, boxes out at the goal line, just dunks on people. I think he will have a dunk on you touchdown at some point. You also got the big tight ends, 3 of them who could dunk on these Colts secondary guys. So I think Rodgers, once he gets down there, he's going to execute. He's going to get him in the end zone. And yeah, as you see at the bottom there, every quarterback has done this except Cam Ward in that situation, and Geno Smith. Every quarterback has done this against the poor Indianapolis Colts. Their defense, who's put in a spot where they're facing these pass-heavy scripts. So Detroit minus 8.5, probably going to cover that. I still like them more as a teaser leg. It's in perfect position for that, to just get them under the field goal. If you are betting big here, I have no problem sprinkling on them to win big, though, just because I think J.J. McCarthy is going to really, really struggle in this spot. Kelvin Shepherd in his bag as a DC. We talked about all this on Tuesday. The Lions just roll off a bye. They've been awesome as home favorites, 70% ATS. They've won 4 straight home games by 15 points. So the fact this is a division game and the Vikings are coming off a bad loss and they have extra prep time is the only thing that scares me from just saying like Lions by double digits. That all might not matter, the situation. The Lions have extra prep time too. And they also have this man, the Brian Flores' number. This man does, because you can't blitz Jared Goff. He's number 1 against the blitz, number 1 against the clean pocket. He's averaged 272 yards a game in his career against Flores. By the way, the Lions have been at 30 points per game or around there in all 4 of those. So, I mean, Goff parlayed with the team total here makes total sense. I'm not sure exactly which receiver. I think JMO could have a bounce back here. Amon-Ra, of course. His props are high. I think Laporta is going to be good, but I think you just get the captain of the ship here and hope that the Vikings with Van Ginkel back officially now and Blake Cashman back are going to be more of a pass funnel and force Jared Goff to throw the ball, try to shut down those running backs. Good luck with that. But I think the Lions are just going to have the ball the whole time, man. The Vikings have the 6th worst time of possession. They were just leading the league in 3 and outs when J.J. McCarthy was in there. And the last time we saw Goff go over against a really bad team against the Bengals, who have the worst time of possession. And again, Jake Browning was in that game. Goff also off a bye the last 2 years, 315 and 353 passing on just 25 attempts the last time out. So yeah, he can absolutely light up the yardage on limited attempts. Still like my Pats. Nothing more to add here, really. The Falcons are a bad road team. The Pats are one of the best coach teams in the NFL. I said my Pats, but I'm not a fan personally, unless I am backing them as I am here. This is a prime teaser leg. I got now 3 in here for you. Giants up to the plus number. Lions under a field goal. Pats just to win instead of the -5.5. Just get them down to win because the Falcons are, again, in bounce back territory. We saw the big time bounce back from them after the 30-0 loss, but that was at home. That was in the Dome. And this is going to be in a rainy New England environment where you have a great run defense. And the Falcons need to run the ball. Drake London's still banged up. So we expect Kyle Pitts to maybe pick up some of that slack, to be the interior receiver that the Pats generally give up targets to because their cornerbacks on the boundary are so damn good. Tight ends are averaging 6 for 68 against this New England defense. And Pitts is actually 4th among tight ends in route rate, basically running like a wide receiver. Yeah, basically running like a big old slot guy. And that's why he's a crazy mismatch if you go into man coverage, which the Pats do at an above average rate. Marcus Jones, excellent nickel corner, but he's only 5'8". So Kyle Pitts could box him out, could catch a couple balls over him. Either way, he's probably going to get peppered with targets if Drake May keeps doing his thing, and they're in a trailing game script. You look at Pitts, he's averaged 6.8 catches, 8.3 targets, 55 yards a game in the losses for the Falcons. He's basically only gone under 40 yards if they win, and we do not expect them to win. He had 16 of his 19 targets the last 2 weeks as they've been in a bad trailing script, and we know Penix is back in there now. He's officially ruled in, so we don't have noodle arm Kirk Cousins, even though with him, Pitts still caught 9 balls last week. Game of the week, got to talk about it. Even though personally, I think Chiefs on the spread here, lean towards it. But personally, I would rather just watch this game and not have too much on it. There might be a little bit of a bet here. Rashee Rice receptions, definitely a wagon at this point. In terms of running underneath and getting targeted at an insane route when he does. This Bills defense is going to have to play back a little bit to prevent the big play because they are so undermanned. That's why I'm actually pretty heavily leaning towards the Chiefs if you're getting them under 2. It's toggled a lot between the 1.5 to 2, 2.5, depending what book you're at. But Mahomes is just a monster. If you give him a short spread here, they have the better defense by far. Bills defense is the worst unit on the field. And their offense lacks weapons, which is why I think Josh Allen's going to do his thing. I think the trend is going to continue of him running against the Chiefs, running in playoff games, running in big games. He has double-digit rush attempts in 6 straight against the Chiefs. 2 of those have come against in the playoffs. He's averaged 50 rush yards per game, 4 touchdowns on the ground. And the Chiefs have faced the most rush attempts by quarterbacks this season. So I think, if you're betting it here, it did open at just 8 rush attempts, but it is heavy juiced to the over, like -160 at a lot of spots. So now they're asking you, what are you going to parlay that with something? I don't mind James Cook in some fashion if you're going to parlay that, as the Bills, they clearly reestablished their identity, that they have to pound the rock because, again, they don't have many weapons. They have Shakir. They have Keon Coleman, who just got slammed by Steve Smith in the media as just not a good receiver, flat out, who's probably going to get shut down by these really good Chiefs corners. And you have Dalton Kincaid, who's playing hurt. So Joshy, he's going to do what he can to keep the Bills in this game at home, and that's probably going to mean doing a lot with his legs. That's probably also going to mean James Cook is going to get volume, even though he struggled against the Chiefs the last few. The Chiefs' run defense is not what it used to be. The last 3 regular season, Cook only 28 yards a game and 7 carries against the Chiefs, but obviously he just went nuts last time out against the number 3 defense by EPA. Chiefs are well below average by EPA. So I think it is a much easier matchup for James Cook. If you're looking for a partner here, or a game theory, it's just that the Bills are going to try to pound the rock, keep Mahomes off the field. And yeah, that's what we got here for week 9. I feel really good about these looks here. Got a lot in here. Got more up on the site, more exact ways that I'm parlaying these things, more SGPs, games that I didn't even talk about here. So if you're enjoying the content, hope you're getting something out of it. Please head to landyourbets.com. Check out what we got going out on the site. Also, we'll have primetime videos up with Josh Lander, all of his picks as well. The head of Land Your Bets, Land and Swish analytic projections, which are very useful for your NFL betting. And until we see you next, happy betting.